How is everyone doing today? Welcome back to On The Ball. Welcome back to another round of Review the Prem. The score is 100-89. 11 points is the gap. Let's see how we got on this week in our Premier League predictions. It's 5 points for a completely correct scoreline, 1 point for a correct result, and the star man. Once you pick that man, you can't pick them again for the rest of the season. 5 points for a goal, 2 points for assist. I was on a bit of a run of the star men, wasn't I? Five in a row.
5 in a row.
Scoreline. Let's see how I got on this week. But we're going to start off with Newcastle against Arsenal. It finished 1-0 to Newcastle at St James's Park. Both of us going for 1-1. And to be fair, it was very close to being 1-1 with that Declan Rice chance right at the death. But I thought Newcastle were well-deserved winners in this game. Brilliant goal, wasn't it, from Alexander Isak. Incredible cross, and Isak got in between Gabriel and Saliba. I mean, I thought the defending was a bit poor for the goal. But Arsenal, I mean, they had, apart from that Rice chance right at the end, they literally could not fashion a chance throughout the whole game. I thought it was so poor from Arsenal.
Yeah, they looked toothless. And Arsenal, obviously, with definitely missing Odegaard, but let's be honest, away from home, this isn't uncommon from what we've seen from Arsenal in a few games, and I think quite a few games they've kind of just been clinical with the few chances they've created, and they've kind of got away with it. You cast your mind back to the Spurs game, they got the goal from the set piece but created very little other than that. The Villa game created very little, but they did get the goal right at the end. But they could have been 2-0 down by that end, and then they lost to Bournemouth without. I know they were down to 10 men, but very didn't really create much. So it's a bit of a theme with Arsenal. Their attacking struggles away from home, in my opinion. And
the hardest one out of them all, they actually scored goals in that game against Man City.
Against Man City, but you look at the goals they scored, there was one for a corner, and then there was one from
a worldie.
So it wasn't like they were creating loads of chances. But look, it's Man City, so I'm not going to criticise them for that. But going away at Newcastle, St James's Park is always a tough place to go. They've already taken points off City. They beat us as well earlier in the season. So going to St James's Park is a tough place. But 1-0 down early on, after you say a great goal from Isak after a brilliant ball from Gordon. And Arsenal, I know they had that chance late on by Rice, but they just didn't really like scoring throughout the whole game. I actually thought Newcastle were quite comfortable, and that will be the most concerning thing. I think if Arsenal were really piling on the pressure and Newcastle just see it out under serious pressure, there are chances and Pope has to make saves and things like that, then I think you just got to take it on the chin. But the fact is, they looked really toothless in that game. And you can blame it all on Odegaard missing, but I don't know, I think it's more deeper than that. I don't think it's just because Odegaard's not there why they're looking this toothless. I think games where Odegaard was playing early this season, it was a similar story. I think it's just the way they're approaching these away games is leading to this pragmatic style where they're looking to take advantage of moments rather than create as many moments as possible. And I think at the moment it's their undoing, and their approach to games is becoming unstuck at the moment, and they do find themselves now 7 points behind the chasing pack at the top. Yeah. And that's got to be a concern.
Yeah, I mean, they were lucky for them that Man City also lost this weekend, but Liverpool did go over the line, overturning a victory. Obviously, we'll get into those results in a bit, but in terms of is it just because of Odegaard? I think it is a massive miss for them, because Odegaard literally is the guy that leads their press. He's their best presser. He's their most creative outlet. But you look at last season, for the past 2 years, in terms of results, they've been the best away side in the Premier League. So they get results consistently away from home. I think Odegaard is a big miss offensively and defensively from them in their first line of defence. But it can't be an excuse. You can't say just because Odegaard is out, then all standards and all results starts to flip and turn. They're not a one-man team. They've got quality in that team. They've got Bukayo Saka there. They've got Kai Havertz, who's been on good form for the past 6-7 months. So you can't say just because Odegaard is out, then all results start to change. It's a bit madness, and I think it shows a bit of a soft underbelly for Arsenal at the moment.
And you're right. They have been getting good results in general away from home, but how many is that now? 4 games away from home without a win. Because they just had this one. They had Bournemouth, they had City, and also in the Champions League, Atalanta they drew 0-0 where they missed a penalty. And that makes a difference. I think in all competitions, that's 4 away from home without a win now, I think. And as I said, the other away performances, yes, they're good results. Don't get me wrong. Going to Villa and Spurs again 6 points, fantastic. But again, they didn't look brilliant in those games. you could argue the results is all that matters, and you're probably right. But again, just performance-wise, if you're looking at how they're playing, they didn't impress in those games.
But I think even last season, you can say that. Last season, how many times did we say, Arsenal not looking good here, and they end up with a 1-0 win, and they had probably the most away wins in the league.
But now they're four
this
out
year,
win.
Now because the results have changed, it's different, and I think Odegaard is a massive factor in that. And what I'm saying is, it can't take just for one player. I think something is there seems to be some trouble there at Arsenal. I can't put my finger on what it is, because it can't just be down to Odegaard.
I mean, I'm looking at their team, and they're crying about an injury crisis, but apart from Odegaard, it's a very strong Arsenal team. I don't see too many. Partey's a right back. He's done that role before. Ben White was on the bench, by the way, so it's not like maybe they could have played him, but Partey. I mean, they could have played Zinchenko on the left and Timber on the right if they wanted to. They didn't. So that was the best way he thought that there was a combat. So I don't think Partey right back is what's going to cost you. They had Martinelli, Saka, Havertz, and Trossard. That's four good attacking players there.
There was no focal point. There was no presence in the box from Arsenal. You're looking at Kai Havertz, who's supposed to be their number 9. I mean, he was out on the right wing. He was dropping deep. He was doing this. He was doing that. He was everywhere, but where he could make the difference.
Yeah, exactly. So I think the approach was wrong, and I think they are struggling to really impose themselves on teams away from home, I feel, at the moment, and really create chances. And at the moment, they're in 5th place, and they're a bit off it at the moment. 3 games now in the Premier League without a win. And I know they did go through a similar period last season, didn't they? I remember they lost to Fulham, they lost to West Ham in quick succession, and then they did come back. So I'm not ruling out them, coming back, but it's not been a good start to the season, I think, performance-wise from Arsenal. And we were saying earlier, they're getting wins, but they're not playing well. Now I think the results are catching up to their performances, and I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? Chelsea away next, which is not a easy fixture with the way Chelsea are playing at the moment. And if they do lose that and other results go against them,
even if they draw that,
they could be as low as like 9th.
Even if they draw that game, it's like that's also could be another nail in the coffin for the title challenge. I mean, people are saying, I think it's really premature to say that out of the title race. Like, people are saying, are Arsenal out of the title race?
10 games in.
It's 10 games. Like, so much can change. And as we've seen City drop points. Liverpool, yes, they're doing brilliantly under Arne Slot, but it's his first season. Are they going to have bumps in the road? I'm sure they are. Also, their start to the season has not been as difficult as Arsenal's, I think it's fair to say. So, albeit they did go to the Emirates and get a draw, and they have beaten Chelsea. So it's not like they've played no one. And they did in the Champions League. They beat Milan away. They beat Leipzig away. So, they've had some impressive results. But, we saw last season, prime example, how Spurs started the season 10 games after, and then, things went wrong. So, I don't think Arsenal, you can say they're out of the title race, but they're definitely not the front runners. And I don't think at the moment they have to really up their performances if they're going to be back in that, back up to against the likes of City and Liverpool, because they've got some catching up to do now.
To be fair to them, though, when you're looking at the fixtures that they've played, the majority of their really hard away games are out the door. Tottenham away is done, City away is done, Bournemouth away is done, Newcastle away is done, Villa away is done. So apart from when you're talking about the really top teams in the league, it's only really Liverpool they need to go to.
Yeah, that's fair, and maybe they'll take advantage of that later in the season. So, look, I think there's still a lot of football to be played, but they just haven't been impressive. No. And I think
all season they haven't been impressive.
Yeah, and I think that was another example of it on the weekend. So we'll see how if they can really catch up that gap.
And we heard the news that Edu has left Arsenal as well this week. Mm-hmm. Is that signs of Edu leaving a sinking ship?
Maybe. No, I'd like to think so. I don't think so. I think he's left because he's tripling his wages. I think that's probably the right course. But I don't know. It's all
Arsenal fans being like, he promised us this, he promised us that, he promised us he's going to deliver a Champions League, a Premier League, and he's left when Arsenal fans coming into this season thought it was their year.
Yeah, it is a bit weird, to be honest, because he seemed to be, one of the leaders of the project, didn't he? He seemed to be one of the ones really involved in the recruitment. You see when players are joining the club, they're talking to him and they're talking to Edu, and he's convincing them of different things, of what they can achieve. So for him to jump ship before they've won a big trophy or anything is a bit strange, I think. But sometimes these things happen in football. I don't know whether that's going to be something that derails the project or not. I mean, I hope so, but I don't know if that's going to be like something that is going to have a big effect on them. But I do think it's weird. I agree with you. I don't like. He seemed to be like really bought into that project, Edu, because he was heading it, and now
Arsenal
he's left.
man as well.
Yeah, now he's left.
Can I tell you something as well? Last time when Edu was playing for Arsenal, he left a sinking ship, because when Edu left, the season before he left, they finished second. The season after, they finished fourth, just after he left. So maybe something similar is going to happen here. But you know what? Maybe he's leaving just to go to a bigger club with more European pedigree.
Exactly what he's doing.
When they say when Marinakis knocks, it's a different kind of knock.
Definitely. But from Newcastle's point of view, good win.
Result, yeah.
That was their first win in 6 games, I think. So fair play to them. They got some good results at home. You know, as much as they did really well, I actually didn't think they threatened Arsenal too much after the goal they scored.
No, they didn't, but they did enough to get over the line.
They looked there, but the defence, they looked comfortable.
Once they scored the goal, I mean, it was just a pretty much a nothing game, wasn't it? No chances at either end. Yeah. Arsenal and Newcastle just looked comfortable. Well, Newcastle looked comfortable.
Yeah, it's a good result.
Let's move on. This was a really good game of football. Bournemouth against Manchester City. It finished 2-1 to Bournemouth. I went for 2-1 to City. Sim went for 2-1 to City. And you know what? Bournemouth started this game at 100 miles an hour, didn't they? Got the early goal, got second goal, and it looked like at that point Bournemouth were going to go on and absolutely batter Manchester City, and they probably could have got a few more goals.
But Smith missed an open goal, didn't they?
Yeah, and that would have made it 3, and that would have been game over then. But it did end up at 3 points to Bournemouth. Unbelievable home form for now for Bournemouth. They've beaten Man City, they've beaten Arsenal. Man City did have a late rally though. Kovacic scoring that header, Erling Haaland missing that chance right at the end, which could have saved their blushes a little bit of getting a point. But for me, this isn't a true reflection of what Man City are, because from what I was seeing, it just looked like a completely unfit side. Kyle Walker was getting cooked down his side. A lot of players were kind of in the build up to this game ruled out, and then I think Pep just had to play them because he's got such an injury crisis at the moment. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the players that played on Wednesday against Spurs were in the side, and I think you could definitely see that with the way they started the game. And Semenyo was causing all sorts of trouble. Kirkes, I thought, was brilliant at left back for Bournemouth, and you've got to start giving Bournemouth a lot more credit, because they've just beaten in the last 3 games, beat Arsenal at home, drew away at Villa, and now beaten Man City. So what a brilliant week it's been for Bournemouth, and what a job Iraola is doing there at Bournemouth. He's really got a really physical, aggressive side going, and they're clearly on their day. They're a match for anyone. It shows at home. So he's really building a top side, a really good team over there at Bournemouth. But yeah, Man City looked completely off it throughout the whole day. They just didn't look themselves, and look, you could also, what we're saying about Arsenal, you could make the case for Man City. I guess the difference is Man City have 5 more points than Arsenal, and that does make a difference. But we all know Man City at this stage of the season, they always go through a few troubles, and I think it's even heightened now that Rodri's out for the season, and they've had a few injuries. Haaland, definitely in the past few weeks, his finishing's been way off it against Southampton. I know he scored, but should have had a hat trick in that game. This game, he missed a few chances late on as well to grab a draw. He'll be very disappointed with that. So he looks to be not himself at the moment, and definitely they're missing the likes of De Bruyne in that creativity in the centre. They definitely are. Also think they're missing Doku and Savinho on the wings. But I guess on the flip side on the bench was De Bruyne, Savinho and Doku for them. And I think clearly De Bruyne wasn't fit enough to come on, but shows that come the after international break, they're probably going to have them all back. So maybe we'll see an improvement in them. I think definitely. I don't think there's a question about it. And we all know Man City second half of the season, they just turn into a new gear. I mean, it's not exactly alien to us that we see Man City drop points at this stage of the season. No, it's not, and it's something that we've seen literally year in, year out. They have stumbles, they work out how they're going to go about things, and especially now without Rodri, that's a lot more working out to do, how they're going to be that machine that they usually are in the second half of the season. But Pep always usually finds a way. And I guess the difference between Man City and Arsenal is, I think when I look at Arsenal team, I think they've still got a lot more first team players already available, playing who aren't injured than Man City. And I think Man City have a few more players missing in crucial positions than Arsenal do. So it's still going to be interesting how they come back from it. But for sure, at the moment, they definitely are struggling. That's for sure. Yeah, but they are getting over the line more than not, to be fair to them. But if you're Arsenal and you're seeing Man City play like this, and then you're playing even worse and getting even worse results, that's got to be a massive cause for concern if you're Arsenal, because you don't want to be chasing Man City in the second half of the season. You want to be above them and trying to hold on to that lead. Whereas Man City, they like to be chasers second half of the season, but they thought maybe they'd be chasing Arsenal, but they're chasing Liverpool.
Yeah, at the moment, yeah, for sure.
Next up is Ipswich against Leicester. Ipswich going for their first win of the season. It looks like they were going to get it. Leif Davis with an unbelievable goal with that volley at the back post, and showing the quality that he has. He's been touted for maybe an England call-up. Hasn't come as of yet, but I thought Ipswich were on the way to their first win. They looked good value for the win, and then the sending off happens, and then Leicester come back into it, and they score in the last minute.
Yeah, Calvin Phillips, he is just not having a good time of it, is he? Over the last 18 months or so, or 2 years since he joined Man City, essentially, his career has just gone from worse to worse, and disastrous loan spell at West Ham, and now he's gone to Ipswich, and he doesn't even starting every game. This was like a rare start for him, and he comes in and he gets sent off, and he's just been a bit all over the place, and it probably cost Ipswich 2 points here, because they were looking good. They were the ones on top, and as you say, Leif Davis with a brilliant goal. They had a few chances before that as well to extend the lead, didn't do so, and they got hit right at the end. Jordan Ayew with another last minute goal, following on from his last minute goal against Southampton, I think it was last week. So really coming up trumps for Leicester, really good point for them, and it just keeps them in a decent position. Only they have lost 2 in the last 5, but still getting those points ticking over, which is very, very important, because relegation battle is probably going to go down to the wire for them, in my opinion. Good assist from Jamie Vardy as well. But Ipswich, another last minute heartbreak win this time, and last time against Brentford, looking like they're going to get a point with 10 men, and the cross goes all the way through. So got to be gutted that 4 points they've lost in the last in the 90th minute in the last 2 games, and that's got to be gutting. And still no wins, 5 draws on the board now after 10 games. Still, there are signs that win is coming, but it's just so frustrating they can't get it over the line.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I'll take some inspiration if I'm a less Ipswich fan by the way that they're performing, but at some point they need to get over the line. And when you're playing a team that's also got promoted at home, and you're 1-0 up going into latter stages after playing better throughout the majority of the game, that's got to knock the stuffing out of you, surely.
They're now 5 points off Leicester. They got to hope that gap doesn't start to grow.
Yeah, absolutely, but still early days. Liverpool against Brighton next. It finished 2-1 to Liverpool. Sim went for 3-1. I went for 2-1, so a big fat 5-pointer in my direction. Sim gets 1 point for this one. And Brighton, I talk about Bournemouth starting the game at 100 miles an hour against City. Brighton, their first half performance was absolutely insane at Anfield. They really took the game to Liverpool. They got that lead 1-0, and Liverpool must be counting their lucky stars that they didn't go in more than one goal up by the half-time break, because I thought Brighton were good value for at least a 2 or 3-0 lead by half-time, to be fair. But Liverpool does do what Liverpool do at Anfield, and they got it back. Cody Gakpo with a bit of a lucky goal to set them on their way, just went all the way through. Darwin Núñez not getting a touch on it, and Mo Salah with an absolutely unbelievable goal. Gets his defender gets one-on-one with his defender, and you just knew he was going to smash that into the top corner.
Yeah, he keeps coming in clutch, Salah. Throughout his career, we know he's a big moment player, and what a goal that was. But yeah, Liverpool again, similar to Arsenal and City, they didn't really look themselves. They definitely weren't at their best. And as you say, 1-0 down in the first half. And Brighton, look, we know what a good footballing side Brighton are on their day, especially against teams like Liverpool, who are obviously going to come and attack them. They like that. They like to play with the big open spaces, and that's what Liverpool left them. And Kadioglu playing on right wing this time, brilliant finish on his right foot, really setting the tone for Brighton. It was a great goal. And as you say, Welbeck missed a few chances, and Brighton definitely with a better side in that first half, and Liverpool looked off it. But I don't even think it was a massive improvement in the second half. I think obviously they got better. I think the main thing is they stopped the leakage of Brighton creating the level of chances they were, and they were the ones dominating in that second half. But obviously, as you say, a bit of luck from Cody Gakpo is all you needed. And what was it, 2 goals in 90 seconds for Liverpool? And that's what top teams can do. They can hit you very quickly, and they can turn a 1-0 deficit into a 2-1 lead within 90 seconds. And Liverpool have that kind of quality. Slot will be a bit concerned that, it wasn't the best performance. I thought similar, last home game against, I think it was Chelsea, they won 2-1. It was obviously they got the win, but I thought it just wasn't the best performance. Chelsea did have a lot of that game, and he wouldn't be too happy with the performance. But they are getting over the line, they are getting the wins, and they've really put themselves in a great position at the top of the league. As you say, 7 points ahead of Arsenal, still only 2 ahead of Man City, but they have got their noses in front at the moment. And look, there's a lot of winning experience there. Trent's won titles, Van Dijk's won titles, Robinson's won titles, Salah has won titles. So there is a lot of experience there, and as much as it's Slot's first season, there is a lot of experience of winning trophies in that camp. So I think that is a big reason why you can't count them out, in my opinion.
Do you think they can do it?
It's going to be tough. I mean, last season I really thought they had a good chance, and they were in it up until the last few weeks of the season. They fell away quite badly. So I think up until March time, I think they were probably top or near or second. They were right in it, and then after March, I think they really fell off, and they couldn't do it. So by that stretch, they can definitely be in the shout. In terms of last season, they were really in that title race. I know they fell away, but why can't they sustain it more this season than last season? Like, are they worse? They've got a very good squad, I think, Liverpool. I know they didn't really add in the summer, but they still got a very, very good team. Like, the way that Man City and Arsenal are playing right now, Liverpool fancy themselves to be right in that race. Do I think they're going to go the extra mile? Something tells me they're still not going to have enough. But, when I'm looking at Arsenal, and I know Arsenal have been in title challenges over the past 2 years, but there are trophy winners in that Liverpool side that aren't in that Arsenal side. There are players who know what it's like to get over the line, and that can make a difference when it gets to the crunch time.
I just feel that there's going to be bumps in the road with Arne Slot in his first season. I don't think it's going to be plain sailing, and I think if they're going to win the league, it has to be kind of more or less plain sailing.
This season does it, though?
I think so, because I think still in the second half of the season, Man City are going to do what Man City do, and I think they're going to need to get a significant gap between them and Man City if they're going to beat Man City to the league. I really believe that.
You think it will still take 90 points to win the league?
I don't know about 90 points. I think it was in the high 80s or low 90s. It will be around there. But
what did they get last season? They got 85?
I don't think they get more points than they got last season.
They got 82 last season.
I think they finished on less points than they did last season.
Do you think they finished on less points?
Yeah.
I think they're going to finish similar amount.
Because it's a big change, man, and I know they've started the season really well, but I'm just looking at their squad and maybe the depth that they have, and maybe they have in some areas they've got good depth, but I'm just looking at that Man City squad, and they can deal with an injury crisis and probably still romp this league, and I don't think Liverpool can do that. And I think if the injuries start to clock up for Liverpool, you'll really start to see the gaps in their squad, and you'll see the results start to change.
I think they've got good depth. Maybe defensive areas is where
if Van Dijk gets injured, that really lowers the value of their team.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. So we'll have to wait. Maybe he'll stay fit.
Obviously.
But he's been pretty consistently fit for a few seasons now.
And also, do they have enough to challenge on all fronts as well? I don't know.
On all fronts, probably not. But if they, I mean, I don't know. I don't think they can go all the way. But I think there's. Like, people are, I think, discounting them too easily. I think, I see videos of Arsenal fans saying, I know Liverpool are top, but I'm not worried about them. I'm like,
Liverpool finish above Arsenal.
Like, they should be worried about them. They've got players in that team that have won the league. Arsenal don't. Like, why? How can you discount them so easily?
What do you mean? Arsenal got Zinchenko.
Zinchenko and Jesus. Not won it for Arsenal. Like, I think it's arrogant from certain fans to discount Liverpool just because last season they fell away.
Yeah, I do think they'll finish above Arsenal. But it's a long way to go. Like, Spurs were top of the league at this point last season after the first 10 games. It's a long way to go.
Yeah.
Next up is Nottingham Forest against West Ham, and then Nottingham Forest Nuno train keeps on rolling 3-0 at the expense of West Ham and Lopetegui, and he is under massive, severe pressure right now. And Forest were good value for their lead at half time. The red card comes just before Edson Alvarez, his second red card of the season for him. And then after that, it was just a complete blitz, wasn't it? Forest absolutely took West Ham to the cleaners at the City Ground. I think it's Forest's biggest win in the Premier League since they've come up. And West Ham, massive cause for concern for them. What's happening down at the London Stadium. And I think Lopetegui, how many more games does he have to save his job?
It reminds me kind of Spurs under Nuno, just that start to the season where it's a new manager and you know it needs time, but something just clearly isn't right, and you can see it immediately. And even though, like, 10 games isn't enough for a manager to really imprint themselves, like, we just knew when that after 10 games that we had to get rid of Nuno. Like, there's something clearly wrong here, and I'm starting to get I'm getting that feeling from Lopetegui, to be honest, that something might be clearly wrong, and I don't know whether, like, the players aren't buying into it, or the way he's setting up the team isn't suited to them, or what, but they're just, it's calamity after calamity. Even the wins they got, United at home, they won, but they could have been 3-0 down easily in that first half. I know they beat Palace away, but that wasn't like the most exciting performance from them, even though they won. He changed it up in this game, went for a back three, and it looked like maybe he's got a tactical idea up his sleeve. But as you say, you look at the defending for that first goal. There's 3 defenders around Chris Wood, and none of them pick him up and allow him for a free header in the 6-yard box. That's unforgivable. Todibo's ball watching, doesn't know where Chris Wood is. As you say, Edson Alvarez, what is he doing for that red card? If you see the red card, the guy is going nowhere, Elanga. He just slides in. He's got like 3 covering defenders with him. He's going to like the corner flag, and he slides in so recklessly and gets himself sent off. And as soon as that happens, it's going to be game over. I have a bit of sympathy in the sense that for the second goal, that's just like, it's a cross in my opinion, or if it is a shot, it's a poor shot from Hudson-Odoi, and it just goes through everyone, and Fabianski sees it late and it goes through him as well.
I watched that 3 or 4 times, but I still can't make my mind up if it's a cross or a shot.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Whatever it is, it should have been stopped, and it wasn't. It went all the way through, and then Ole Einar smashes it in from 25 yards with his left foot. Great goal there. So I think at the end of the day, Forest, after the red card, had it easy, but yeah, real troubling signs at West Ham. I'm just read a report from TalkSport saying they might even consider Frank Lampard maybe as a potential for replacing Lopetegui, but he's with more performances like this keep happening, he's a dead man walking, because this can't continue. They've just been dreadful. And look, they got good players, man. They have good players. They got a good team. I'm not hearing like he's got rubbish players or anything, because I'm looking at that team and there is a lot of players there that a lot of teams in the top half would want, for sure. Yeah. A lot of teams in the top half would want on their team, and the fact that he's getting this drivel out of them is horrific. But yeah, Forest up into 3rd. I mean, absolutely incredible. I do think they'll run out of steam, but credit to them, because...
You don't think they can do a Leicester?
I don't think they can do a Leicester.
You didn't think Leicester could do a Leicester?
It's true, but I still don't think Forest can do a Leicester. As much as they're doing well at the moment, I still think there'll be a big drop-off.
Well, you look at their next 3 games is Newcastle, Arsenal, Ipswich and Man City, and then Man United, and then Villa. So they've got all the big teams to come now in the next 5-6 games.
No, but look, the fact they've put themselves in that position is a credit to them. They have gotten good results from tough games. They drew away at Chelsea, so it's not like whenever they've faced a tough team they've lost. But Nuno's doing a fantastic job, and fair play to him, because a lot of people were writing him off and calling him a rubbish manager. And I even said, I was like, I don't know how long he's going to last at Forest, even after he kept them up last season. But they have started so well this season. They've got a good thing going at the moment with his kind of defensive style, and Chris Wood just bang him in for fun. They got Hudson-Odoi, Elanga and Morgan Gibbs-White, which is a very exciting 3 there behind him. So I can understand why they're doing well, but I don't think they'll keep it up. I really don't.
No, Edu at the wheel now.
True, Edu's at the wheel. Maybe Edu saw how they're above Arsenal. He's like, I gotta go. They're above you now. I just go.
He's jumped ship to the bigger club. That's what I said. But yeah, look, very exciting if you're a Nottingham Forest fan, because they've never been this high in the league probably since the days of Stuart Pearce and Des Walker and all those kind of guys. So massive credit to Nuno and Nottingham Forest with the way they're playing and the way they're getting their results at the moment. Back on West Ham, though, for a second. Their last game before the international break is Everton at home.
What a massive game that is.
If they lose that game at home to Everton, surely he's going to get the chop during international break.
International break's always a nervy moment. Even if they get a win, I'm just struggling to see him be there till Christmas, the way things are going. I really do. And I don't like to say that about managers who've just joined, because I always feel like managers, you need time.
Not even West Ham managers.
I don't mind saying about West Ham managers, but in general, I think managers, 10 games in, you shouldn't really be looking to sack them. I think it's a bit foolish to give them a summer and then sack them after 10 games. But they're not just losing, they're playing awfully. You're not even seeing anything to cling on to at the moment, where you're like, you can see where things are going. You can see, like, for example...
They did all right against us in the first half at times.
Yeah, but I'm not saying nothing excited me about that. They got the goal, but we dominated possession. Like they didn't. They looked a bit solid, but as soon as their resistance was broken, they fell apart.
Yeah.
And that can't happen when you're looking to be a good team. Like I always take you back to like us last season when we were going for that losing run, and we lost like 5 in a row just after we had that good run, and most times when you see that kind of run, you're obviously in panic stations, crisis mode. But I was looking at the games, I'm like, look, I know we've lost 5 in a row, but I can see why we've lost them, and I can see where we're going and what needs improving. I'm looking at West Ham, I'm like, what's good? There's just nothing good at the moment there. There's nothing to cling on to saying they're doing that well, but not that thing well. Like they're not defending well at all. They're not attacking well at all. There is just nothing to cling on to say, I can see what he's trying to do. And that's like where we were at with Nuno when he was in charge of us. Like there was nothing to suggest things were going to improve.
Yeah, but you say before the season, Lopetegui's a good manager.
He is.
They've got good players there. So do you not think eventually he will get it right if he's given the time? I'd
like to say so. He's also a manager who lasted like 2 months at Madrid before getting sacked. So he has history of like going very quickly at some. I know it's Madrid, it's ruthless, but he does have history of blowing up quite early in a club. So that's not completely out of the realms of possibility. But yeah, look, I do think he's a good manager, and I do think I would say give him time, because I think he'll probably give him enough time. He should be able to turn it around, but. I mean, I can't say that based on what I'm seeing. I have to just say that based on his record with previous clubs, because I can't. Based on what I'm seeing, it's hard to tell a West Ham fan they should be like persevering with this.
Let's go to Southampton against Everton. A big game down at the bottom. It finished 1-0 to Southampton.
Big win.
Massive win. Was that their first win of the season?
It was.
Yeah, first win of the season. Both us predicted Everton wins, and I didn't see the game, but I was flicking in and out of it, and Everton looked like they were, creating good chances. Everton looked like the team on top, and then Southampton get a bit of a sucker blow in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's pretty much what happened. Everton were the ones who did create the chances. They hit the bar. Ramsdale made an unbelievable double save from, I think it was Michael Keane at the back post. I mean, Everton will be kicking themselves the chances they missed, because they should have easily been at least a goal up before Southampton scored. But it's a good counter-attacking goal. Down the right-hand side, cut back to Adam Armstrong, and he just makes that movement inside into the penalty box and fires it home, and Everton didn't have an answer. That'll be a bit of a concern. I know I think it won't be a concern considering they did create a lot of chances, so they'll think if they create a similar amount of chances to other games, they'll get the win. But it'll be a bit of a concern after going 1-0 down. They lumped the ball forward, and they just didn't get any answers out of that Southampton backline. So
it was 5 minutes to go, though.
Yeah, true. So I guess there wasn't that much time, but it'll still be concerning they didn't score against one of the league's worst defences, a team who are always open and always giving the ball away in their own half. They've done that all season. To be fair to Southampton, they have been obviously pumped a lot this season, but they've stuck to their principles, and they keep playing what they're doing. And they're up there. There is some good stuff there with Southampton. As much as I just don't think the way they're playing is going to keep them up, I can understand why they do it, and there is some good football there. And they were fairly resolute against Man City last week. Fairly, yeah. I mean, they did defend well, albeit Haaland could have had a hat-trick. They did defend fairly well, considering they went away to Man City, and they could have even got a draw with, I think they hit the bar and they had a couple of chances. So there's some good stuff there, but even in this game, they could have easily lost it. So as much as a great win, and look, they just got to use it for something to build off, and maybe that can give them a lot of confidence, but I'm still not convinced even after that win. They go away to Wolves just for the international break. That is what you call a 6-pointer. Yeah. All right, let's move on to a bit of a stormer, this one. Wolves against Crystal Palace. It finished 2-2. I went for 2-1 to Palace. You went for 1-0 to Palace. We really thought Palace were turning that corner, weren't we? A win against Spurs, going through against Villa in the Carabao Cup. But couldn't beat Wolves at Molineux. It was like a bit of a drab game, wasn't it? Until the end. It just exploded. Yeah, absolutely exploded. All 4 goals in the last 20 minutes. No, all 4 goals were in a 17-minute period. Yeah. So Trevor Chalobah goes 1-0 up. Then it goes 1-1. Then 5 minutes later, Mark Guehi scores at the back post. And then, it goes 1-1, 1-0.
Yeah, and each team responded to each other's goals, didn't they?
Yeah,
Finished
exactly.
2-2, and then there was a goal ruled out right at the end for Jean-Claude Mateta. There's a lot of talk about that, about whether it should have been allowed or not. What were your thoughts on it?
I think it was disallowed on the pitch. I've watched it back. I don't think there's enough for a VAR overturn. I do think it was probably
a bit harsh to disallow that, though.
I think 9 times out of 10, if you challenge the goalkeeper like that, it's going to be given a foul. They always protect the keepers. So,
Apart from
does he have 2 hands on the ball? There's an argument to say he had 2 hands on it. So I can understand why it was ruled out. I mean, it's a very harsh one. It's a very close one. Sorry, I can understand both sides of it, but I don't think there was enough there to suggest it was a clear and obvious error from the referee. So I think it's fair. I think Palace were the better team, to be honest. And as much as Wolves came back and got a 2-1 lead, when Palace took the lead, I thought they deserved it. I thought it was a reward for what was a good away performance, considering as well they're missing Eze, they're missing Wharton, 2 big players for them. And I thought when they equalised, it was good reward for how they played during the game. And obviously they're the ones who finished stronger as well. Wolves basically had a 5-minute period where they got 2 quick goals, and Wolves are like that sometimes because they play that counter-attacking style. They exploit the space quite effectively.
Goal, though. Brun Larsen's goal.
Brun Larsen and Gomez, they're 2 good goals, 2 quick attacking direct goals, and Palace to be disappointed with that, but Wolves would be delighted with it. But I don't think they deserve to win. I think Palace deservedly got the equaliser, and they were unlucky.
Set pieces, right, from Crystal Palace.
Yeah,
and I thought both Wolves goals were really well worked. But in terms of Wolves, I know they haven't won all season, but last 2 games definitely signs of fight and fighting for the manager. You know, coming back from 2-0 down against Brighton last week with a really impressive late rally, and then never say die attitude in this game as well.
Yes, but I don't know if it's still enough, because at the end of the day, I thought they were second best in this game and probably should. Yes, they showed fight and they got 2-1 in the lead, and fair play, but they were second best during the game and deservedly didn't win. And last time against Brighton, fair play, 2-0 down with going into stoppage time, and they crawl back to 2-2. Miracle result, don't get me wrong, fantastic, but you're still 2-0 down going into stoppage time, and that's not a sustainable situation. So as much as they've shown signs of fight, at the end of the day, they probably should have lost both of those last games, and that is not a situation that's going to keep you up.
If you're a Wolves fan, are you willing to stick with Gary O'Neill, or do you think, because I was hearing a lot of Wolves fans calling in to talk sport, because I was out at the time, and they were saying, "Oh, just get him gone. He's not good enough," and all this stuff. They said they've forgotten how to win. But I'm looking at it, and I think Gary O'Neill has proved so many people wrong so many times at the 2 jobs that he has done. I feel like it's so early in the season. I think there's so much time for him to turn it around, and I think he can.
Yeah, look, they're only 4 points off 17th place Palace. But, you know, if you feel like Palace might get out of it, albeit, you know, they've only won 1 game. They're now 7 points behind Leicester. I mean, that is not a good situation. It's
not, but there's so much time to claw it around. I think Wolves are a better team than Leicester, and I think they've got better players in them. And I think if Wolves play to their capabilities, if Gary O'Neill can get them playing again, then they'll pick up more points than Leicester.
But the reality is, they've conceded 27 goals this season, and the way Wolves play, that can't be happening. Mm-hmm. And if they're the worst by far defensive record in the league, by far, by 6 goals is the nearest one, which is Ipswich, I think. That's
Southampton, no?
No, Ipswich is 21. Southampton's 19. So they've actually conceded 8 more goals than Southampton, and everyone goes about how open Southampton are. So if that doesn't improve, he'll have to go, because you can't play this 3 at the back and counter-attacking style and have the worst defence in the league by 6 goals. That can't be happening.
Yeah, I guess. But anyway, let's move on to the Sunday games. Tottenham against Aston Villa. 4-1 battering of Aston Villa at the hands of Tottenham Hotspur. Sim went for 3-1. I went for 2-1. And Spurs go 2-1 up, don't they, with about 15 minutes to go, or however long. Yeah, I think it was about 15 minutes to go. And he was saying, "Oh, I'm on my way to my 5-pointer." Then Spurs go 3-1 up with 10 minutes to go. Sim's like, "Oh, I'm on my way to my 5-pointer." I'm like, "Please, Tottenham, let's get that 4th goal." And then James Maddison rocks up with a free kick in the last minute of the game. First free kick Spurs have scored in a very long time. But
good timing, James. Good timing. Thanks a lot.
Very good timing, James Maddison. But look, I think first half it was probably both teams just kind of feeling each other out. Villa going the lead, and Spurs came out the second half with a new kind of energy, didn't they? And absolutely battered Aston Villa. But I felt like the first half was a very lethargic performance, and I felt like watching it, they were like really feeling midweek.
Yeah, I think so. And obviously 9 players who started in midweek for Spurs started in this game. Villa completely fresh 11, apart from, I think, John McGinn going into this game. So you would have been not forgiven, but you would have made sense that, Tottenham looked a bit more leggy. But in fact, in the first half, yes, that probably happened. But obviously, Villa came here with a game plan. They came here with a plan to stifle Spurs. Unai Emery has previous of doing that against Tottenham as well. He did it at the Tottenham Stadium, albeit the one they did get the win that time 2-1. But again, they tried to sit back and soak up pressure, and Tottenham missed a host of chances. Villa Park, very similar to this game, 0-0 at half-time. Villa sitting deep. I think they actually changed it to a back 3 in that game. And second half, we just got absolutely blown away and ended up getting battered 4-0. And I think this game was similar. I think he tried to be very, very smart tactically, just not give Tottenham any space, trying to drop really deep and be very, very careful when they, attack. And in fact, what had turned out, I think, is they got penned in. I know in the first half, they took advantage of a set piece. It was a bit of a scrimmage, as Ange called it, and Rodgers bundled it home. But I thought even then, Villa probably had the best chances, but they didn't threaten too much where I was that worried, and Spurs dominated, huffed and puffed without really looking at scoring. But you always got the feeling if Tottenham up the speed and up the intensity, could give Villa a lot more trouble, and that's what exactly happened in the second half.
I didn't see it coming at half-time, though.
Well, it's happened so many times, you can never rule it out, can you?
Yeah, but I just thought we just looked so tired from midweek, and it was only 2 changes so I just thought Spurs were a bit gassed out a little bit, but we found that energy, we found that second wind, and we completely took the game to them. And, Romero goes off injured, doesn't he, at 1-1. John Duran comes on for the injured Morgan at 1-1 as well, and you're thinking, oh, here we go. But Spurs really turned on the style.
They did, and they blew them away. And in fact, they were the ones who ended the stronger somehow. And at the end of the game, you got Solanke harassing Pau Torres, and they're the ones who looked like they'd played 9 stars from midweek and not us. And that's a testament maybe to the fitness levels of Ange Postecoglou's team. But yeah, I think it was probably the game you could say Dom Solanke, probably not from maybe Tottenham fans' point of view, but from other teams seeing up and taking notice of what he can do for us. It was probably the game he really arrived as a Spurs number 9 striker, costing 65 million with 2 beautiful finishes. The first one, a beautiful dink over Emi Martinez. The composure was unbelievable, and then obviously did really well to run in for the second one and make it 3-1, and that sealed the game. And I think Aston Villa will be very, very disappointed with their fans will probably be disappointed how they approached the game, because especially going to those last half an hour, with Spurs got Dragoshin and Davis at the back, and you're thinking this is a good opportunity for Villa to get a win here, and really good opportunity to put some pressure on Spurs, but they just never looked interested in doing that. They just kept stopping the game, slowing it down. It looked like they just wanted the point and getting out of there, and that mentality I think cost them in this one. And I think Spurs, they were on the front foot. That's the mentality of Spurs, always looking for the win, always looking for more goals, and it came up trumps, and Spurs blew them away, and very, very big in the race for top 4 there, because it put Spurs right in the mix there now, 2 points behind Villa, who start the season so well. But look, I said before the game, as much as Villa have been unbeaten away from home, I've looked at their games, and I think they've been getting away with it a bit, and I think they probably caught up with them in this game.
Yeah, well, Spurs, they did lose to Crystal Palace, who hadn't won all season. Then they went and beat Man City in the Cup, who hadn't lost all season. They go and beat Aston Villa, who hadn't lost away from home all season. Ipswich at home next, who haven't won all season.
So you put your house on Ipswich to win.
I ain't doing nothing. But 4 injuries in this game, 2 apiece.
Yeah,
just players kept going down, didn't they?
The nasty game. It was a lot of strong challenges at both teams, and I think maybe that was Tottenham in terms of reaction to being accused of a lack of fight in the Palace game, and maybe they wanted to show that they are definitely up for the fight, because Villa were coming in and with strong midfielders, Onana and McGinn, and putting in strong challenges, and Spurs were just giving as good as they got really. And obviously Rodgers went off, Romero went off, and there was just injuries flying all over the place. But I think Spurs obviously came out on top and won the fight. Yeah,
Matty Cash and Richarlison as well going off injured. But let's go on to Manchester United against Chelsea. It finished 1-1. Both of us going for 2-2 in this game. I thought this was an interesting game of football. I thought in possession, actually, Chelsea looked like the better side, but the best chances probably fell to Manchester United on the day. With 20 minutes to go, they get the penalty. They go 1-0 up with Bruno Fernandes, and you're thinking, new manager bounce and all that. But straight away, bang, Caicedo with an unbelievable finish with that volley into the bottom corner. And it looked like Chelsea at that point were going to go on and get the winner, but it just didn't come.
Yeah, I think both teams were quite poor, to be honest, in this game. I think I was quite disappointed. I thought I was expecting better from both these teams. Well, United with a new manager bounce. I know United have been terrible all season, but I thought, new manager, new energy, and maybe there was a bit of that, the fact that they did get the draw. But Chelsea were very disappointing. I thought Caicedo and Lavia played well, but apart from those two, the front line were pretty anonymous. Like, they didn't really open up United too much, and that's got to be very disappointing, because going into this game, Chelsea would have been super confident with some of the football they've played this season. They were going to go and win, and maybe it showed that they still got a lot of shortcomings still, this performance, because I thought it wasn't a great performance from them. And apart from that, obviously Caicedo scored, but that's a goal that, 1 in a million kind of goal. Brilliant goal, don't get me wrong, but they didn't really look like scoring on that. I know Enzo missed a decent opportunity, but again, that came from a slip from De Ligt. There was nothing it wasn't from Chelsea's good play or anything, and they struggled to really get any moves together, and that's really disappointing. And as you say, United late on definitely could have won it. Garnacho was super wasteful on that left-hand side. He had so many opportunities to do something, and he was literally giving it away every time. And Bruno, I thought Bruno had a brilliant game, but very, very wasteful right at the end there with a volley on the edge of the box. He ballooned over the bar. Xerxes went through one-on-one. He just didn't have the pace to get away from Fofana. So I think a draw was probably a fair result at the end, but definitely more disappointing for Chelsea than United.
Yeah. Back on Caicedo and Lavia, I actually think them two have been the most impressive pair in the middle of the park out of anyone, out of any club this season. I rate both of them so highly, yeah.
Out of any club?
Yeah. I think
in the whole league?
Yeah. I don't think the league's been that good this season.
That's a big shout.
Who's been better as a pair?
As a pair? Most teams play three, so it's hard to say. Like, as a double pivot...
Well, to be fair, if you're going to go for the three, then them two and Cole Palmer.
Them two and Cole Palmer, so they're middle three. Have they been the most impressive in the whole? Like, you could say, I don't know, Tielemans, Onana, Rodgers. You could say they've been impressive.
I think Chelsea ones have.
Kulusevski, Basuma, Bentancur, and Sarr. They've also been quite impressive. Who's the three? Man City is always changing, but Caicedo, yes. Lavia. He's good. He was brilliant yesterday. He hasn't played every game, has he?
Yeah, true. But I think when they've been together, I think they've looked really impressive.
They've looked good. I thought those two were good. I don't know if they're the best in the league, but they were good.
I'm not saying they are the best in the league, saying the best performing in the league.
I don't know. I think Liverpool as well. They've got some very good. I think they're midfielders.
Gravenberch has probably been...
McAllister.
Gravenberch has been brilliant all season.
Yeah. Caicedo's been great, but I think the best performing three in the league.
It's 10 games in.
I know, but still, I think that's a big shout. I think Chelsea have been good, but they haven't been that good, have they?
No, but they've been a lot more impressive than they have been the last couple of years, that's for sure.
Yeah, probably. But I thought, Chelsea were disappointing, I thought, overall yesterday.
Yeah. And the last game, Monday Night Football at Craven Cottage. Fulham 2, Brentford 1. Sim went for 2-1. He's saved by Harry Wilson this week. 5-pointer goes to Sim. I went for 3-2 to Fulham, so I get a point in this one. Look, I think Fulham got what they deserved in the end. They were the ones dominating the possession. They were the ones asking the majority of the questions. Brentford kind of sucker punched them, didn't they, with a goal against the run of play. But Fulham, Harry Wilson comes on, Adama Traore comes on, Emil Smith-Rowe come on, and they do the business.
Yeah, and Brentford will be gutted. How many times have they given up leads this season? It seems to happen so often.
They weren't good enough this game, though.
No, they weren't. And to be fair, what I will say about Brentford, yes, they weren't great, and the goal they came was from a shot from 25 yards from Yanel, really against the run of play. But I actually thought they defended really well, because Fulham had so many crosses and shots and things like that. But actually, it was a lot of it was getting blocks in, and there was a lot of good defending there from Brentford. And when it came to stoppage time, I really thought actually their defending had earned them the win there, because I thought they were really putting their bodies on the line. But you can't just be penned in for that long and then expect to come away with the win. That's the reality, and the pressure told. And to be fair to Brentford, the goals that came, especially the first goal, completely out of the blue. Not in terms of that they scored, but out of the blue, the finish from Harry Wilson hits his shin, kind of just loops into the far corner. You can say it's a brilliant piece of skill or a massive slice of luck. I'm not sure which one it is, but whatever it is a heartache for Brentford. And then Brentford could have won it with Carvalho with a chance right at the end. Brilliant save from Leno. And then Robertson goes up the other end, squares it for Wilson, and it goes off his shoulder. It hits off his shoulder into the corner. So Brentford will argue they're unlucky with the way that Fulham scored, but when you have whatever, close to 30 shots, you're bound to get a bit lucky in some of them, and that's exactly what happened. So heartache for Brentford. They do seem to be giving away a lot of leads this season. They do seem to be scoring early and then just give it up late in the game. But Fulham will feel like they deserve the victory with the constant pressure they're putting on.
Yeah, absolutely. So big credit to Fulham for that late fight back in stoppage time. Star men, Sim went for Mo Salah, who got a brilliant goal to give them the win against Brighton. I went for Liam Delap, who got 0 goals and 0 assists. So we end up this week on 102 to 109.
Cut the gap
Significantly.
Yeah, 7 points now.
Not bad at all.
All right.
And we move on to next week. Thursday is Predict the Prem, so we'll see you for another round of Premier League predictions for week 11. Thank you everyone for joining us today. We'll see you next time.